clarity will always
Yeah.
trump cleverness.
Yes.
Okay? Don't try to be clever when it comes to the main message. You can be clever down the road. The main message of your brand should be this is what we do, this is what we offer. And it should be absolutely clear.
Marc Rust is my special guest today. He is the owner and founder of Consequently Creative, a brand growth agency. And we are going to talk about what branding can do for business owners and whether it's an acquisition, growth, or an exit. And Marc, it's a pleasure to have you here today on the Getting the Deal Done podcast.
Thanks for having me, John. So nice to
Yeah.
be here.
Why don't you let's start by giving us a little background on how you got to where you are.
Um, well, I've always been my first degree, I guess, is in economics. So I always had a very keen interest in finance. And that alongside the fact that I am obsessed with creativity and marketing. So those two things are my passion. And as long as finance is something that's complicated, there's a reason to explain it. And I find that, a lot of business leaders are quite ineffective at explaining what their brand stands for, what their company stands for, and what their value offering is. So that's what I do. I
Okay.
come in and I make it clear.
All right. And is that internal, external, both?
Well, definitely both. Yes. You need internally, you need alignment within your company, meaning you need everybody to be on the same page and have that same kind of voice. So there's a common goal. That is absolutely clear for any business to be successful. Externally, yes, the way you broadcast your message and the way you reach out to your audience and the way you're effective with your audience is extremely important because that's how businesses grow.
Right.
It's not so much about you as a company. It's about your audience and how you're going to satisfy your audience's needs because that's how you create engagement.
Are there any industries you concentrate on or completely agnostic?
Well, I mean, we're not going to turn down clients if they want to come to us with a great project. But the industries that we do focus on tend to be around private equity portfolio companies. And then within that, we go into the industries that are in the region that we're in. We're in the Boston area. And of course, that touches on finance, it touches on technology, biotech, et cetera.
Well, let's talk about private equity for a while. Uh, you mentioned private equity portfolio companies, and private equity seems to be everywhere, some variation of what is known as private equity from over the years. I mean, it looks they have taken over our veterinary practice we go to. My longtime eye doctor has sold to a roll up.
Mhm.
Uh, it's not just uh, consumer products or hospitality or anything else. They seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that in addition to that, private equity has changed over the years. You know, what private equity was 10 years ago versus what it is now and what it's becoming more and more has changed.
Right.
I think the days of a private equity company that purchases a company, trims the fat, and sells it, those days are really gone. Now, in order to be effective in the private equity space, you really need to find a company that you identify with as a private equity company, that you see growth in, that you're going to nurture for several years. And maybe part of that nurturing is that you're going to acquire another company and merge two companies together. Maybe you're going to do something else, but you stay with it for a while and then you find the suitable buyer for that company. That's more of a healthy process for the company because you're taking care of it and you want to see success come out of it.
Okay. So in our pre-call, one couple of the things you said is in the middle market. Tends to get ignored,
Hmm.
and uh, a branding firm like consequently creative can do things private equity can't do.
Absolutely.
Let's talk
Um,
about that.
yes. The thing with the thing with branding is that in the case of private equity, it's often at an afterthought. And it might be an add-on like, okay, we've got this company, it's in great standing, we're gonna grow it, we're gonna, do something special to it, we're gonna merge it with another company. Um, and we might move some people around, we might replace the CEO, etc. In the case of branding, it should not be an afterthought for the simple reason that branding is going to help with all of those steps. It's going to help post-acquisition, right? When you've acquired a company, often that knocks up the culture of the company a lot, right? People might be thinking, "Oh my gosh, should I dust off my resume? Should I jump ship because this is not for me. I don't want to be part of this. What are we becoming?" Right? There's so much uncertainty. Branding and messaging and having the right message can help alleviate all of that. And we coin the phrase acquisition turbulence, which means that, when you get acquired, there's some turbulence that's going to happen. Things do not stay the same. Things change, which is actually good for business because in business, change is good. Stagnant is not, right? You want to
Right.
progress. So, with that, a marketing agency, a branding agency can come in and get reposition the alignment internally with the goals of the private equity firm, turn a conventional story into a remarkable story, meaning giving all the employees the reasons to believe in what's going on, attracting new employees, and growing the company. If you don't have that, which is pretty basic, you're really missing out on the growth of your company, right? And those are things that we take off of the plate of private equity firms. We take care of that. We celebrate the company. We get in alignment. We sometimes change the look and feel of a company. You do judge a book by its cover. So make it look better, make it look amazing. Give everybody a reason to celebrate this. And it has a direct impact on the valuation of that company down the road.
Yeah. Can you even anonymously give a couple examples of things that you've done?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, in many cases, it's taking several companies and merging them into one. We did a pretty long project for an optics company, where we helped them merge five companies into one. We helped them with a total brand redesign, new logo, new everything. And what it did is that it took this company that was kind of old looking and gave them a fresh look, a fresh story, a stronger story, a stronger sales pitch for when they went to, conventions or what have you for all of their sales. And it really positioned them as a market leader in their space. And that's what you do. That's what you can do with the right story for the right audience at the right time. I really equate it to magic. Magic is when you combine elements, and that combination is absolutely remarkable.
Okay. And what was the result with that? Did it lead them to turbocharge growth or
Well, it led them to have a stronger position in the market.
okay.
It definitely helps with reduce a reduction of acquisition costs for customers
Yeah.
because you have a clearer message. Clarity definitely, saves money. Um, it has a direct impact onto revenue growth. You can change your prices, you can change your loyalty, you can have an overall organic volume impact when you do those things. And those are kind of the more tangible sides of branding, the ROI of branding. I mean, the intangible side of ROI for branding is, brand awareness. Yeah, you can do surveys, you can check out what you stand for in social media and stuff, but you also get employee alignment, you know, and then it changes the partner slash investor perception of the company too.
Okay. So you've done a lot of work, private equity companies. We haven't talked about this in advance, so maybe I'm putting you on the spot. But if you look around in larger companies that we all know of, who's done a really good job of creating that brand?
Well, I mean, we all have our favorite brands, right? And the ones that do good jobs are the ones that have a good image in your mind. I like to think of branding as something that you don't necessarily own. It's something you can influence. So, branding is what you stand for in the minds of the people that you're trying to reach.
Okay.
So if I think of, companies that have fantastic branding, Goodyear, Michelin, I don't want to mention Apple because everybody probably mentions that. But these are brands that have a personality. They have something you can really put your finger on it and say, okay, this is what this brand is. I know what they stand for. I know what the quality is, etc. I mentioned Goodyear as an example. For me, Goodyear is a great brand because I remember it, from my childhood. I remember seeing the Goodyear blimp.
Yeah,
I don't know if they still have the Goodyear blimp now, but
they do. I
the
just saw a
Goodyear.
commercial about it.
Oh, okay. Well, the Goodyear blimp when I was a kid is something that you would see at a ball game or something, and you would point it out, and everybody would get excited. At the time, I didn't know that Goodyear was about tires. And then later on, of course, I found that out. But a few years ago, I was in a shoe store and I flipped over a pair of shoes, and the sole said Goodyear, right? Goodyear rubber for the soles of these shoes. Well, immediately I associated something positive to it. I knew that it meant quality. It's because they were making the link with something that was already established in my mind. Something good about the brand Goodyear. And now they're making shoe soles and they put the Goodyear logo on that. The link is made instantly, right? So I mean that's what really good branding is about, is just taking something and nurturing it, influencing it so it forms in somebody's mind and it grows. And with that comes trust, value, etc.
What I heard is that's the power of a brand is that it transcends more than just say in this case tires. That the name means something to most people. And just like the other thing you mentioned, Michelin, everyone knows Michelin makes great tires.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So as business owners and entrepreneurs, um, we need to, earn trust little by little. And the way you earn trust is by providing value through clear messaging, and something that people can depend upon.
Yeah. Okay.
Strong stories.
It's what we, that's, yeah, stories. That's what we, and that is what people remember. It is on my list to talk about that a little bit, but I want to go into uh, why are you so excited about your business, Mark?
Because I don't think that anything can bring more power to a company than the right message. The sky's the limit. You can inspire people. You can get people to talk about you. You can get people to advocate for you. When you have the right message, you have everything. And it's also something that is part science, part art, part psychosomatic. There's so many things that come into play, and you really need to constantly strive to do better. That's why I do it.
Okay. Uh, you talk about that and what you get excited about and what companies can do. Uh, my wife and I have noticed lately, we'll be watching something, whether it's, I mean, everything is TV now, right? And even Netflix
Hmm.
has commercials and Prime has commercials. We've seen a number of commercials and we go, that's really a cool commercial. What's it for? And you get to
Yeah,
the end and there's a word that comes on the screen. And if you had just turned your head or you were, doing something like uh, prepping dinner and you turn down to prep the food when that comes on, you would have no idea what it was about. To me,
absolutely.
that's not clarity.
No.
It's
Yeah, it's amazing. It's mind-blowing actually that so many companies have a tagline that really doesn't resonate and doesn't mean anything if you don't know the company.
Yeah. Or if you don't know who's behind the commercial, is what I'm getting at, till the last screen comes on for a second or two and it says the name of it. You see these commercials and they're very artistic and creative, but you don't know who they're for. And then at the
Hmm.
last second or two of the commercial, there's a name that comes on the screen. And I was saying, if you happen to turn your head, you're prepping dinner or someone makes a noise in the other room and you turn, you don't know who it is. Versus if you think of all the Budweiser commercials, the Clydesdales and everything else, you know it's Budweiser from the first 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, clarity will always
Yeah.
trump cleverness.
Yes.
Okay? Don't try to be clever when it comes to the main message. You can be clever down the road. The main message of your brand should be this is what we do, this is what we offer. And it should be absolutely clear.
Yeah.
We always see them, and I'm trying to think of one. It's just yeah, it's just crazy that people will have a tagline that means nothing. I had a client recently. Um, their tagline was wait, let me think. Their tagline was "Bright minds, brighter outcomes." Which, do you know what kind of company that is? If I say "Bright
Mhm.
minds, brighter outcomes."
Could be a light bulb company. Uh,
Okay.
uh, could be an education company.
That sounds good. Yeah, I like it for education. It's
Yeah.
actually a law firm.
Uh-huh.
That is, but that's a great example of having a clever tagline, but it doesn't serve you any purpose, right? It's better in the case of this law firm, maybe to say better law or better litigation, better outcomes. Oh, that I get. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me. But brighter minds, brighter outcomes doesn't absolutely make sense. Maybe it makes sense if you're a preschool or something like that. And I'm not beating up this company, because a lot of companies do it. And very very often, the leadership of the company says, "Oh, I love this term. It sounds right to me." But you know what? They're not the audience. You are not the audience. You need to go and ask your audience what you stand for and have them tell you what your tagline should be.
Yeah.
When you have a relationship that you've built over time with an audience, you can then be in a unique space to ask them, hey, how would you describe me? What do I stand for?
Yeah.
Right? And when you have that relationship and you get those details as to what you stand for, then you know exactly how to define yourself. Because, you know, a lot of times I think we fail to understand that it's about communication. It's about a two-way street. It's no longer about, broadcasting a message and waiting for an echo, right? I mean, I know they still do radio advertising, but even that has changed. Radio advertising is good for established brands, but you can't just go on the radio and just broadcast a message of what you think you stand for and wait for people to engage with you. That's not how it works anymore. It's more of listening to your audience, understanding what their needs are, responding to that need with a solution.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hearing is brands don't fall from the sky. It takes some research and effort to help create it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like, I love this concept of the plant and stick concept, which is like if you plant a seed in the ground and you water it, yeah, it's going to grow and you'll get a little sprout and it might grow on the ground and show flowers and yield some fruit. But on the other hand, if you put a stick in the ground and you help that plant grow up the stick, um, it'll grow stronger. It'll have bigger flowers, stronger fruit, bigger fruit, and ultimately will be a happier plant, right? Why? Because you gave it structure. You gave it a foundation to build on, right? And that's what we need to do when it comes to business growth and business building.
That's a great analogy. Great
Thank
analogy.
you.
And
Yeah.
let's move on to AI and AI in branding, marketing, etc.
Yeah. There's so much to say about AI these days. It is definitely the buzzword. Um, and I don't know if it's going to fulfill all the promises that it has, in the sense, is it going to replace all the jobs? I'm not sure. It's going to do that. But one thing I think is that it needs to be seen for what it is. It's a technology, right? And technology is a tool, and you need to use tools. You use tools to do things in a better way. Are we in a position where, because of AI, coding a website, which might have taken weeks before, can take minutes now? Absolutely. And it should be used for that. That is fantastic, right? Using it for the tool that it is.
Yeah.
Very often in technology, I like the idea of putting technology last, in the sense that if you and I were going to get together, John, and start a new company, we wouldn't start off by saying, hey, we're going to use AI. It's going to be an AI company or an AI driven company. You can't put technology first because that's not strategy. You need to have strategy in order to build a good company. So first we'd start with, okay, well, who's our audience, right? Who's your audience? Okay, what are their needs? All right, we understand that. What can we bring? What are we good at? Right? Then you find the strategy, right? The strategy is between your audience needs and your business objectives. That's what strategy is. How are you going to have your business satisfy the audience? Okay. And then finally, what technology are you going to use to do it? That is the healthy approach to AI. Putting it last, saying, I want to communicate this to people. These are my people. This is my business objectives. Here's the technology I'm going to use. And if you go and use technology first, you're kind of venturing off without strategy, and that's not a good way to do business. There's not one single business person out there who's going to say you should start with technology.
Yeah,
It's
and
not how
I
you build things.
agree. And I've read things about, people in the AI and tech world who, say, I don't have AI write my emails because they have to come from me and with my feelings. I saw something, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, about executives who are saying all this talk about AI is going to take away all the mundane tasks and you can be productive all the time. He said, these people are saying, I can't be productive 10 hours a day. I need to do some of those mind-numbing tasks that anyone could do just to clear my
Yeah,
brain and get me refreshed. So
absolutely. But not to contradict what you said, but I do use AI to respond to some emails. When it's a one liner, two lines, and
yeah,
it just, that's fine. I think that's fine. But, I think you need to realize that AI is creating commonalities, meaning it uses what it knows. So it's going to make things common, right? It's like Mad Libs, right? When you have Mad Libs, you would just put in a word here and there, and it creates a story, right? It expands on the most common outcomes out there. And I'll give you an example. I was at a talk a few weeks ago, and this woman stood up and she said that in her job, she's responsible for reviewing grants. and this was at something in the Boston area. It was for the city of Cambridge. She reviews grants, and they get a lot of grants. They get a lot of them, proposals for grants, and her and her team are beginning to notice that about 80% of these proposals are written by AI. They begin to sound all the same. They all have the same kind of introduction, the same kind of development. And it's sad, right? Because people are automating something that they should actually really, really care about. And that's an example of using AI in a way that isn't benefiting you because different will always be noticeable, right? We pick up products because they're different. We notice a new car in the car, a new car in the street because it's different, right? When you're relying on AI too much, you're stepping towards commonalities. And if you think that you're clever by using AI and trusting AI, you might be making a big mistake. Nothing is easy in life, right? Taking the easy road, you know, get rich quick schemes, those don't work. It's about hard work, and it's about writing a good grant proposal, for example, and really talking about your passion, your personal story, why it matters to you. Those are things that AI is not going to come up with.
You're right. And it is, as you say, it's all what's been fed into it. It's garbage in, garbage out. And if it's just going on what has been scanned into AI for might not be the proper term, you're going to get similar results all the time.
Hmm.
No
Hmm.
inflection, no thought, etc. I mean, I use AI. I would never use AI to write an article, but I just wrote you know, I think it's 2,200 word article. I ran it through an AI and said, just please edit it. And and it had a few good things, and but you have to proofread it, make sure it doesn't
Absolutely.
miss things or mix context from one subject to another. So yeah, I think we're on the same page, and it can be a useful tool,
For
uh,
sure.
but it still requires what you do, especially what I do, what you do requires that human input.
Yeah. And I mean, just to kind of finish off on the AI thing, one thing that I truly believe is that, everything worthwhile is definitely hard in life. And AI at first is easy, but keep in mind that it's also going to help differentiate the leaders from the followers. You know, being innovative, having ingenuity, really thinking hard about something and trying to find a solution, that's what's going to put you in the front, right? AI is also making things very, very common, very easy for a lot of people, but that's not going to create differences. So, especially for the younger entrepreneurs out there, I'm saying try to come up with the inspiration, the ingenuity that's going to make you stand out in a very unique way, in a way that you can't find through AI. And use AI if you must, but use it as the tool that it is and get really good at it. That's absolutely important too.
Well, Mark, the time has flown by. A couple more questions. What do you like to
Sure.
do when you're not doing branding and creativity?
Well, music has always been very, very important to me. I love to play music, the guitar, sing, and then cooking as well. I'm an avid cook for my family. Trying to find complicated recipes that are absolutely remarkable is something I love to do.
Great. And is there anything I should have asked you about that you'd like to get out to the audience?
No, I think we really did touch on it. I mean, there's nothing better than ingenuity and creativity. And I guess if there's one thing to add, it would be, especially for the entrepreneurs out there and the business leaders, don't equate creativity with risk. Um, Creativity is what makes you stand out. It's what makes people choose you because you mean something and you have something special to say, yeah, that's what I would say. Don't equate creativity with risk, but equate it with opportunity.
That's a great one. Creativity and opportunity. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure. Again, this is Mark Rust with Consequently Creative, a brand growth agency. How do people get hold of you? And we'll put that in the show notes also.
We're on Instagram. We have our website, consequentlycreative.com. And then you can, of course, Google us, and we will probably pop up in the first results.
Okay. Well, Mark, thank you for being on the Getting the Deal Done podcast. This was a very informative and education one for me. I'm always interested in this stuff, as all business people should be. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, John. It's been fantastic. Really, thanks.
All right. All the best.
All the best.